Okay, I'm trying it one more time. If not, I'm not going to be live. I'll just leave my stream live. I went in and out several times. 55. All right, you seem to be okay. So we'll see what happens here. All right, missed the trade again. Missed it. And 2:30, we got Powell. Let's see if I can get the actual website for that. I want to do something real quick. I want to lose this. Let's save that. Okay. Powell live. Okay. Let's see what we got. Here we go. Fed video. There we go. Bingo. Copy that. So when it comes on, we've got it here. Then I can do this. And I already have it. So it's here. Have it ready. Don't need the chat room. Watch live at 2:30. Come on, come on. Nope. Too small. Too small. There we go. Right there. All right. So we'll leave that here for now. When it comes on at 2:30, we'll be able to put it on. All right. We seem to be okay now. Keep our legs crossed, arms crossed. Anything, keep our crosses out. Pray to Jesus. Jewish people can pray to Jesus too. I know, because I'm Jewish, and I can pray to Jesus. All right. All right. What do we got going on now? I wish I could put that other thing in there. I got a backup here for him. 30 p.m. No music or anything. What else do we got? Closed everything else down. Let's see. So far, so good. Yay, buddy's in. Yay, buddy. I like him. I don't care what anybody says about him. That's on 100.
I'm also in call on the SPX call next to the data. So it's not bad, not bad, not bad. Loving it, guys. So going to the data, the simple how big the spike, it also fish, nice spike to sell, those are the old ball charts.
Turn that off. Also, I'm going to turn him off. Okay, I need to put this into YouTube here. All right. For all you YouTubers, anybody who just wants to listen to YouTube, I guess there's one person in there already. Let's see. And that would be here, YouTube, for me. It would be that page right there. So far, so good. So far, so good. Everybody hear me okay? Anybody having any problems here? We don't allow problems, so cut it out. And what happened to, I know Deck's not here. I don't know where he is. AK's still here, good. I wonder if Jay ever went online. Me. Jay. No. He did not. Okay. I thought maybe he'd be listening somewhere. I guess not. One more, let's check. Check the room. Oh, he's in. Deck's in. Okay, so I guess a lot of people are there. All right, I wanted to see this thing come back. I missed the trade on it, unfortunately. Look at that, 870, 880. It was all the way down to 740. I don't know what to do now. Why is that doing that? Zach Hopper. I'm gonna make this low. I have to turn on the volume off. I got it all off. All right. Get rid of him. Move this over here. Me. We're good. All right. I still like to jump in one more time. Don't know what's going to happen with that SPY. It's a little high. I wanted it a little higher. I wanted it to go up a little first. You can see we've still been coming down, no matter what's been happening. There was one big jump up there. That was high. That's where you should have done. Boom. I missed that one. That one came so fast and hard. Make your head spin. I'm just so afraid if I get in right now and I go for the put, that I get in and it's going to go up. So I'm going to wait till we hit some real high points and then jump in. I've got the 54.10 is the trade is the one I'm looking at. It's 30 on the delta. I could go to 54.15. I don't want to go that high, and it's expensive. 54.05 is 730 to 750. That one's 20 cents also. I'm going to leave it at the 54.10. I've been using that one. At least I know what the prices were. And let me see on Apple. Let's see, Apple. Apple is getting back up there again. So it's 217.50. And what was our, let me see if I can pull up the big, there's that big here. Go into Apple. And over, where the hell? Actually, to go, it's AA. AA. I need to go to AA. I did for many years. Met a lot of people. I even met a wife there. Look at that, came back. All right, so it came back down. Come on, come on. Everything slowed down a little. See that? Look at that pullback. Oh wow, that contract just went from, oh lordy lord, that contract just went from 8.14 to $11. Oh lord, oh that's the wrong one, and that's actually the SPY. Wait a second, hold on, everything moved. Oh my god, look at that downpour. Nobody's talking. You can't even get in this thing. Wow, it's like, oh my god, it's impossible. 5 to 550. How much lower can this go? Down 50 cents. Oh, wow, it's going even lower. Look at that. And was there any talk? This is all speculation. That's what it is. I missed it. Oh, I forgot to have the check in there. Ah, okay. Mm. I missed it. I've tried to get it at 510 on the contract. Oof, it's back down again. Wow, look at the spread. Jeez, this is scary stuff, folks. Oh, there it is. Ah, what have it up? Big time up. Oh, it got me. I couldn't get out. Where am I at? Oh, that's the wrong computer. All right, I have to get back to you guys. I got to watch this. All right, that was a little scary. I'm sorry about that. I got it a little too high and it dropped on me, but I actually cost average down and I ended up bringing my daily down, my losses lower, about 800 instead of where I was at. Whew, that was scary, I got to tell you. And I was going to go for another third, and I said, don't do it, don't do it. But I still think we're going to go through the ceiling eventually. I'm going to be sorry I got out. But that was a little scary. Man, I got in at about, let's see, I got in at 620 and it dropped. I got back in at 520 and it dropped to 420. And I got in at, let's see, 1402. So I've been in for 15 minutes. I swear it felt like eternity. I was in for 14 minutes and out. For me, that's a long time. But I waited and I got out at 590 and it's still below that now. So I did good. I got it right at the top here. So I had 570 average back at 590. I know it's going to fly, but I just needed to bring my losses down, and I did. That feels good. That feels much better. Woohoo! Okay. I'll wait till it drops again. I'm coming back in. Let's see. Not bad. Not bad. I'm okay. I'm okay. I'll be all right. I'm going to make it back. So I always do. All speech affect the penny stock. Somebody said, yeah, it affects everything. Somebody asked if, I think I lost you guys. Lost you. Sorry about that. I don't know how much you just lost, but I got you back. Okay. Anything Powell speaks affects everything we do. Oh, and there it is. Look at that. Look at that. Bam. 640. Oh, I would have been clear for the day. I knew it. I knew it was going to go. I knew it. I just knew it. I don't want to buy back in. I can't buy back in. I can't believe it. I knew it was going to happen. I just knew it. That would have been right there. 640 would have been 70 and 70 is 140. That would have been $1,400. I would have been in the plus. Unbelievable. What do we do now? It's still going up. Look at this thing. It wants to go. It wants to go. Gotta wait for a pullback to at least the view up. I don't think we're gonna get it. Wow. And he doesn't speak for another 15 minutes. It's gonna fly. He's gonna say that they're not gonna do any cutbacks. I know that. Yeah, there's gonna be no cutbacks. It goes here. There's gonna be no cutbacks. And instead of 6 cutbacks next year, they're gonna say 5. We shall say. Oh my Lord, that was exciting. Boy, did that thing go. I knew it would. It was too low on the charts. Let's take a look at that for a second here. Oh, where's the big chart? On Apple. Look at Apple. Wow. I almost jumped back on that one. 330. It was down at 2 something. Up 220. Back to 330. All right, so I can't touch Apple for a while. That's what I'm doing. But I'm not doing any of those right now. Can I get this back? Okay, there's that one. Come on, must have an arrow here. It'll work. Okay, like that. All right, and let's put this. I was going to put the SPY in there. Let's see. There you go. Oh, back to 550. See, that one went back down. Woohoo. That's why you don't chase it. Don't chase it up. Okay. Eating some protein. Eating some protein. I still got you guys? I can't always tell. I do. I do. All right. Look at that. Look at Apple. Apple's been unbelievable all day. Where is I don't know if he's still here. No, he's gone. One shot. He did really good this morning. Gave us all a good one. Yeah, he's hanging out with Deck now. Okay. Be that way. All right. 580. How can I get another shot at this now? That's a 345. It's too high on Apple to go after Apple, even though it's really high. Apple's got 218.94. You know we're going to see 219. I can't. I'm sure we're going to see 220 very soon. You know, look what we were at Apple last week was 170. So this thing is really moving. It got into that AI business, and bam, that's it. AI is where it's at. Okay, that takes care of that one. AMD's jumped up, also very involved into artificial intelligence, and that one too is moving. Matter, I'm a little surprised is down. I don't know why. You think it would be rolling with them, even if it's sympathy, but not. There's 219 new high, 352 new high on the contract for what do you call it? What happened to my contract there? That was on Apple, new high on the contracts there. And we got 230 coming right on the door here. Let's see. All right. Anybody have any questions? How can I go from going 2 weeks in a row, winning every single day, but then having such a bad day? It's amazing. 2 in a row. Uh-oh. There it goes again. I hate to get in so high. I don't want to chase. I don't want to chase. What's with the feds now? What do we have here? 230, 230. Put it on, then once it comes on, we should hear it. That's only if I have volume on in here. You know what? I think what I'm going to do is put it on the other computer. Let's see. How do I stop this? Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. You'll be able to see it here, but I can get better sound out of the other one. Let me see what I got. I put it in here. Here we go. I already have it. I already have it. Okay. I made it twice. Boom. Boom here. Come on. There you go. And sound is no music or anything. Guess when it comes on, it comes on. Very good. It's on that computer. Oh, there is music. Yeah, there's music in the background. I can leave that on light. Deck. All right, just gotta wait. I'd like to get one more shot in here. Here, get there. Oh my gosh. And I was hungry. It's too late for Apple. Like pullbacks, you make pennies. Five minutes away. Finally working. Wow. Let me see. What do we got here as far as? Oh, don't do that to me. Don't do that to me. Let's see. 60. 26, 1. Yeah, we're good. We're good. Just checking. I want to see a new high day today. I think we're going to do a call on the spine, and it's going to take us through the roof. What I'm hoping for. Pulling back down, what do I want? I want to see my contract back at around the $4 range. What contract? I'm using 54.50. I'm showing you guys 54.35. So 54.35. Let's go look at the products for a quick second before we open up here. $54. Oh, I'm using SPX. Hold on. Okay. 54.35 is right there. Can't be. I'm using, that's what I showed you guys because that's right out of the money. I'm using 54.50, which is right over here. $6 and it's still $3.29. And as far as the other way, I was using 630 right there, 54.10. Apple, I'm looking at 217.50. Same one as this morning. Okay, and that's it. As far as the other one for NVIDIA, NVIDIA is 126. You can go to 127, 128, 127.50, whatever it is. You can go to the other way, 124. So they're pretty cheap. I'm not doing NVIDIA anyway. I just have it open. What time? Oh, and there goes my spy. There goes my spy. I knew it. Every time I do something else, I take my eye off the ball. $41. That's $1 right there. Yeah, it's $1. I'm gonna leave it there for $1 right there. Okay. Oh, it's still going. Look at it. I'm so pissed. I can't chase this. Why is it running like this? Anybody know? That holds rates. Boy, right there, 27. It says Fed rates steady. Projections show fewer rate cuts, higher inflation outlook. That's bad. Why would it be going up? That's bad. Higher inflation outlook. That was a 227 and it went up. I don't get it. I don't get it. Should be coming out any second. Like a bank. Always on time.
We start up here. We always like to have a fun game here, just for fun. A little fun game at this time. Here's, yes.
What color tie?
Tie. Filter I'll be wearing today.
Blue. I played blue.
Wager $1,000. I'll be the house. I'm gonna say.
You're gonna say purple.
He's getting risky.
Purple.
I'm thinking something. Actually, I'm gonna go with this. Something. Yeah, I'm gonna go with purple.
Ah, what did I tell you? I know Dak. I said that before, like purple, like purplish blue.
Something's looking nice. You know, we got one great cut coming on up. I'm going with nice, bold,
There we go.
bright pink.
Purple.
Here we go.
Purple.
Bright
It's purple. I me turn Dak off.
Of maximum employment and stable prices for the benefit. FOMC decided to leave our policy interest rate unchanged and to continue to reduce our securities holdings. We are maintaining our restrictive stance of monetary policy in order to keep demand in line with
Leave it there. I
supply
want to see this
and
come down.
reduce inflationary pressures. I'll have more to say about monetary policy after briefly reviewing economic developments. Recent indicators suggest that economic activity has continued to expand at a solid pace. Although GDP growth moderated from 3.4% in the fourth quarter of last year to 1.3% in the first quarter, Private domestic final purchases, which excludes inventory investment, government spending, and net exports, and usually sends a clearer signal on underlying demand, grew at 2.8% in the first quarter, nearly as strong as the second half of 2023. Growth of consumer spending has slowed from last year's robust pace, but remains solid. Investment in equipment and intangibles has picked up from its anemic pace last year. Improving supply conditions have supported resilient demand and the strong performance of the U.S. economy over the past year. In our summary of economic projections, committee participants generally expect GDP growth to slow from last year's pace, with a median projection of 2.1% this year and 2.0% over the next 2 years.
I don't know which way to go.
In the labor market, supply and demand conditions have come into better balance. Payroll job gains averaged 218,000 jobs per month in April and May, a pace that is still strong, but a bit below that seen in the first quarter. The employment rate ticked up, but remains low at 4%. Strong job creation over the past couple of years has been accompanied by an increase in the supply of workers, reflecting increases in participation among individuals aged 25 to 54 years and a continued strong pace of immigration. Nominal wage growth has eased over the past year, and the jobs to workers gap has narrowed. Overall, a broad set of indicators suggests that conditions in the labor market have returned to about where they stood on the eve of the pandemic, relatively tight but not overheated. FOMC participants expect labor market strength to continue. The median unemployment rate projection in the SEP is 4.0% at the end of this year and 4.2% at the end of next year. Inflation has eased notably over the past 2 years, but remains above our longer run goal.
Couldn't get out of what I wanted. I'm down to 6.
Prices rose 2.7% over
Out
the
of
12
pocket.
months ending in April.
I'm doing good.
Excluding the volatile food and energy categories, core PCE prices rose 2.8%.
Taking some risks.
The Consumer Price Index, which came out this morning and tends to run higher than the
Right
PCE,
now, here's where we are now.
PCE price index, rose 3.3%
I knew it was gonna
over
go
the
up,
12
yeah.
months ending in May. And the core CPI rose 3.4%.
I tried to get out at 6:30. I got out
The
at
inflation
6.
data received earlier this year were higher than expected, though more recent monthly readings have eased somewhat. Longer-term inflation expectations appear to remain well anchored, as reflected in a broad range of surveys of households and businesses and forecasters, as well as measures from financial markets. The median projection in the SEP for total PCE inflation is
Oh shit! I'm sorry. Hold on. I turned off. I went to turn off the monitor behind me, and it turned off the one behind the other way.
inflation imposes significant hardship as it erodes purchasing power, especially for those least able to meet the higher costs of essentials like food, housing, and transportation. Our monetary policy actions are guided by our dual mandate to promote maximum employment and stable prices for the American people. In support of these goals, the committee decided at today's meeting to maintain the target range for the federal funds rate at 5.25% to 5.5%, and to continue reducing our securities holdings. As labor market tightness has eased and inflation has declined over the past year, the risks to achieving our employment and inflation goals have moved toward better balance. The economic outlook is uncertain, however, and we remain highly attentive to inflation risks. We've stated that we do not expect it will be appropriate to reduce the target range for the federal funds rate until we have gained greater confidence that inflation is moving sustainably toward 2%.
That's good.
So far this year, the data have not given us that greater confidence.
That's better.
The most recent inflation readings have been more favorable than earlier in the year, however, and there has been modest further progress toward our inflation objective. We'll need to see more good data to bolster our confidence that inflation is moving sustainably toward 2%. We know that reducing policy restraint too soon or too much could result in a reversal of the progress that we've seen
And
on
that'll give
inflation.
us recession.
At the same time, reducing policy restraint too late or too little could unduly weaken economic activity and employment. In considering any adjustments to the target range for the federal funds rate, the committee will carefully assess incoming data, the evolving outlook, and the balance of risks. In our SEP, FOMC participants wrote down their individual assessments of an appropriate path for the federal funds rate, based on what each participant judges to be the most likely
Ooh,
scenario
just some
going
joke.
forward. If the economy evolves as expected, the median participant projects that the appropriate level of the federal funds rate will be 5.1% at the end of this year, 4.1% at the end of 2025, and 3.1% at the end of 2026. But these projections are not a committee plan or any kind of a decision. As the economy evolves,
they?
assessments of the appropriate policy path will adjust in order to best promote our maximum employment and price stability goals. If the economy remains solid and inflation persists, we're prepared to maintain the current target range for the federal funds rate as long as appropriate. If the labor market were to weaken unexpectedly, or if inflation were to fall more quickly than anticipated, we're prepared to respond. Policy is well positioned
Yeah.
to deal with the
Raise
risks and
interest rates?
uncertainties that we face in pursuing both sides of our dual mandate. We'll continue to make our decisions meeting by meeting based on the totality of the data and its implications for the outlook and the balance of risks. Fed has been assigned two goals for monetary policy: maximum employment and stable prices. We remain committed to bringing inflation back down to our 2% goal and to keeping longer-term inflation expectations well anchored. Restoring price
I
stability
missed that
is
bottom there.
essential
That
to
was a
achieving
great one.
maximum
Went about
employment and
$2.
stable prices over the long run. Our success in delivering on these goals matters to all Americans. We understand that our actions affect communities, families, and businesses across the country. Everything we do
Yeah,
is in
don't put
service
anything
to our
on the
public
boards
mission.
right now. It just makes beep
That we'll
noises.
do everything we can.
I'm
to
not
achieve
watching
our
everything. I'm
maximum
watching other
employment
stuff.
and price stability goals. Thank you. I look forward to your
Ooh, questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Steve Leisman, CNBC. Just wondering if you could walk me through the committee's average inflation forecast.
Hmm.
Core PCE is now forecast to be 2.8% by the year end. It's already 2.75. And after today's number, there were several forecasts on the street that it would be 2.6 at the end of this month. Does that tell you that the average official expects no further progress in inflation, and in fact that it's going to get worse? And if you have this wrong, doesn't it mean that you you could have wrong the outlook for rates there?
Yeah, so what's going on there is that we had very low readings in the second half of last year, June through December, really. And we're now lapping those. So as you go through the 12-month window, a very low reading drops out and a new reading comes in. The new reading gets added to the 12-month window. So it's just a slight element of conservatism that we're assuming a certain level of incoming monthly PCE and core PCE numbers. We're assuming, a good but not great numbers. And if you put that on top of where we are now, you get a very slight increase in the 12-month reading. Now, do we have high confidence that that's right? No, it's just a kind of conservative way for forecasting things. If we were to get more readings like today's reading, then of course that wouldn't be the case. So it's just a forecasting device. I think. Let me say that we welcome today's reading and then hope for more like that.
But if it comes in, just to follow up, if it comes in the way you forecast it, it would seem strange for you to be cutting rates at all in context of a rising core PCE. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think what we've said is that we don't think it'll be appropriate to reduce rates and begin to loosen policy until we have more confidence that inflation is moving back down to 2% on a sustainable basis. And that's the test we've applied. I don't know that this rules that in or out. I mean, really, it's a forecast, a fairly conservative forecast month by month that would lead to slightly higher 12 months rates by the end of the year. If we get, better ratings than that, then you will see that come down or remain the same. If you're at 2.6, 2.7, that's a really good place to be.
Gotcha.
Nick Timmeros of the Wall Street Journal. Chair Powell, if I look at the rate projections, I see 15 and 19 that are anticipating either one or two cuts this year, fairly evenly split between the two. And so I wonder if you could explain a little bit more the nuances of the differences there. Would 2 or 3 more inflation readings, like the one that we saw this morning, make a September interest rate cut possible?
Okay.
So as far as the SEP part of that is concerned, As you know, I talk to all of the other participants on the FOMC every cycle. We talk about their summer of economic projections and the dot plot, their dot plot and everything. And what I hear and see is that people are looking at a range of plausible outcomes, and in many cases, they're thinking, I can't really distinguish between two of these. They're so close for me. These are very close calls. But we ask them to write down the most likely one, so they do. And I think as you've said, there's 15 of the 19 are kind of clustered around one or two. So I think I would look at all. I look at all of them as plausible, but I look at I think that does tell you kind of what the committee thinks. But what everyone agrees on is it's going to be data dependent. No one brings to this or takes away from it from the committee a really strong commitment to a particular rate path. It's actually just their forecast and it's a combination of their forecast and their own reaction.
Look at Apple.
But again, everyone would say that this is very data dependent, and I don't hold it with high confidence. I think if you're looking at and
220 is the number.
don't really think that they're not trying to send a strong signal that this is what I think is the right thing. It's just what they think at a given moment in time, subject to data. In terms of future meetings, we haven't, we don't make decisions about future meetings until we get there. I think in terms of what we need to see, I mentioned it earlier, we want to gain further confidence. Certainly, more good inflation readings will help with that. I'm not going to be specific about how many because really it's going to be not just the inflation readings. It's going to be the totality of the data. What's happening in the labor market? What's happening with the balance of risks? What's happening with the forecast? What's happening with growth? You look at all of that, and you ask, are we confident? Have we reached an appropriate level of confidence that inflation is moving down sustainably to 2%? Or alternatively, do we see really unexpected signs of weakness in the labor market that would call for a response? Which is another thing that could happen. But again, we don't see that. And we see today's report as progress and as building confidence, but we don't see ourselves as having the confidence that would warrant.
I knew it was coming.
That would warrant beginning to.
You can't bring inflation down when you got a government that's overspending.
Did you or any of your colleagues change your interest rate projections after 8:30 or whenever you got the inflation numbers today?
So this happens too often, but it does happen. It just is, data came, I think it happened a few meetings ago. So when that happens, when there's an important data print during the meeting, first day or second day, what we do is we make sure people remember that they have the ability to update. We tell them how to do that. And some people do, some people don't, most people don't. And I'm not going to get into the specifics, but you have the ability to do that. So that, what's in the SEP actually does reflect the data that we got today.
These contracts are bombing out.
Reflected in one day. I think we'll see PPI tomorrow. We'll know more about the PCE reading as the month goes on, but the initial CPI reading and its kind of first level translation to PCE we did have this morning. We were briefed about it, and people were able to consider whether they should make changes. And as I said, some people generally do, but most people generally don't.
Hi, Chair Powell, Janelle Martin from Bloomberg. As you noted, the labor market is now in many ways back to where it was before the pandemic. I wondered if you could comment on how officials are viewing that. So do you think that there still needs to be more cooling in the labor market to bring inflation all the way down to 2%? Or is there any sense that maybe the labor market is more vulnerable now to higher rates now that many of those imbalances have eased?
Sure. So by so many measures, the labor market was kind of overheated 2 years ago. And we've seen it gradually move back into much better balance between supply and demand. So what have we seen? We've seen labor force supply come up quite a bit through immigration and through recovering participation. That's ongoing, mostly now through the immigration channel, but still we've had some increases in prime age labor force. In terms of on the demand side, we've seen quits moving down. We've seen job openings moving down. We've seen wage increases moving from very, very high levels a couple of years ago back down to more sustainable levels. We have seen unemployment creep up now 0.6 over the course of a year or so, very, very gradually. So you put all that together, what you have is still low unemployment, still 4% unemployment, historically low. But it's moved up a little bit, it's softened a bit, and that's an important statistic. But more than that, you've got strong job creation. You have payroll jobs still coming in strong, even though there's an argument that they may be a bit overstated, but still they're strong. So that's what we see. We watch the labor market, of course, and the economy as a whole, but the labor market very carefully, and that's what we see. We see gradual cooling, gradual moving toward better balance, monitoring it carefully for signs of something more than that, but we really don't see that.
As a quick follow-up, the surveys that make up the jobs report are showing different tales. There's been some divergence, especially we saw in the last report that we got on Friday. So how do you interpret that, and how does it change your view on the labor market?
So sometimes you can't reconcile the differences. You just have to look at it and try to understand. And that's why it always makes sense to look at a series, in 3, 6, and 12 months of things rather than just one report. But you're right to point to the last report where there were job losses in the household survey, job gains, big job gains in the establishment survey. So, we're left with ambiguous results, and we have to deal with that uncertainty around data. Nonetheless, the overall picture is one of a strong and gradually cooling, gradually rebalancing labor market. Job openings, while they've come way down, are still, greater than the number of unemployed people. The jobs workers gap is still a significantly positive number, greater than it was before the pandemic. So overall, we're looking at what is still a very strong labor market, but not the superheated labor market of 2 years ago or even 1 year ago.
Thanks, Chair Powell. Neil Irwin with Axios. Back on the rates path, the SEP showed quite a large shift of rate cut expectations relative to March. That's a period in which the economic data flow hasn't been that dramatic a shift. How can you provide some color on what changed in attitudes on the committee over the last 3 months to see a much shallower path of rate cuts this year?
Yeah, the big thing that changed was the inflation forecast. So the inflation forecast moved up several tenths for the end of the year. And as I mentioned earlier in the, what did we take away from this? We had really, really good inflation data in the second half of last year. Then
This contract's dropping
in
to
progress in the first quarter. And what we took away from that was that it's probably going to take longer to get the confidence that we need to begin to loosen policy. So the sense of that is that rate cuts that might have taken place this year, take place next year. There are fewer rate cuts in the median this year, but there's one more next year. So if you look at year end 2025 and 26, you're almost exactly where you would have been. Just it's moved later because of that progress. Now you get different data today. So we'll have to see where the data light the way. The economy has repeatedly surprised forecasters in both directions, and today was certainly a better inflation report than almost anybody expected. And we'll just have to see what the incoming data flow brings and how that affects the outlook and the balance of risks.
Gina Smiler, New York Times. Thanks for taking our questions. In the summary of economic projections, the long-run interest rate forecast moved up a bit. I wonder if we should read that as a sign that you think that policy is not sort of as restrictive as we previously expected. How should we interpret what that means about how the committee views its current policy setting?
So 2 things about that. One is this. You're right, it did move up, but I want to remember to point out that long-run neutral rate of interest is a long-run concept. It really is a theoretical concept. Can't be directly observed, and what it is the interest rate that would hold the economy at equilibrium, maximum employment, and price stability, potentially years in the future where there are no shocks. So it's a little bit. It's not something we observe today. Today we've got a very specific economy with all kinds of shocks we're still getting over from the pandemic. So it's I don't think that the concept of it's a very important concept in economics and what we do. But honestly, it doesn't really get you where you need to be to think about what appropriate policy is in the near term. But back to your original question of people have been gradually writing it up because I just think people are coming to the view that rates aren't.
I don't watch The
are
View.
less likely to go down to their pre-pandemic levels, which were, very low by recent history measures. Now, we can't really know that. That's an interesting dispute and discussion to have now. But ultimately, we think that things like the neutral rate are driven by longer run, slow moving forces. And, there's a really good question about whether those really have changed or whether instead rates and the economy are experiencing a series of persistent but ultimately temporary shocks. That's been the debate. We can't know. But in the meantime, we're making policy with the economy that we have, with the distortions that we have. And I also, to your other point, I think it is the case that as time has gone by, the question of how restrictive is policy has become one that everyone's asking, and we're asking it too. And, my answer has been the policy issue of whether it's sufficiently restrictive is going to be one we know over time. But I think for the reasons I talked about at the last press conference and other places, I think the evidence is pretty clear that policy is restrictive and is having, the effects that we would hope for.
Well, thanks, Chair Powell. Howard Stein with Reuters. Just to carry that a little further, should we read this as a conclusion that the combination of tipping to one cut this year and acknowledging further progress on inflation as kind of a mark to market on the level of restrictiveness that you need, that you in fact have concluded that you weren't quite there yet?
I'm reluctant to try to draw that conclusion. I think this is about, looking at the incoming data and asking how much progress are we making on inflation and how is the rest of the economy doing? Is the labor market still strong? That's what we're thinking about. You can translate it into the language you're talking about, but to me the focus is more on we have a goal which is price stability, another goal which is maximum employment. How are we doing there? We think we've got a good, strong labor market still. We think we've been making progress toward the price stability goal. And then for a while there was a pause, and we look at today's thing and we think, well, that's a good reading, and we hope we get more like that. And in the meantime, we're asking, is our policy stance about right? And we think yes, it's about right. We're prepared to adjust it as appropriate, but we think we're getting the things that we would want to get, broadly speaking. And that's why we've been at this policy right now for almost a year.
So just to follow up on that, I think what curious thing here is you've got now this restrictive policy in place and virtually no change in any of the major things for all of this year. You've got growth that stays above long-run potential throughout the forecast period, unemployment that never goes above the long-run estimate, right, of 4.2.
Because two people are working two
jobs. This is a story of slack improving inflation. So where's the improvement in inflation coming from that it's going to pick up pace so much in 2025?
Well,
Trump.
It's been coming. Where's it been coming from? We'll start with that.
It's come from Trump.
Clearly, a lot of some of what we've been getting is just the reversal of the unwinding of the pandemic-related distortions to both supply and demand, and that is complemented by and amplified, supported by restrictive monetary policy. So those two things have been working together. We've also had a very positive supply shock on the labor side, and also you get a positive supply shock when the supply conditions unwind and return to normal. So you've had above trend potential growth and high growth, and yet you've had the benefit of inflation coming down really fast actually last year, and you will see what the rest of this year brings. So these dynamics can continue as long as they continue. Ultimately, the question is are you down to demand? And we don't know that though. We're look at today's report. If we see more like that, we can't know what the future holds. But in the meantime, we've made pretty good progress on inflation with our current stance.
Michael McKee from Bloomberg Radio and Television. The base case of the committee seems to be that there is going to be at least one rate cut this year, but your growth forecast doesn't see any slowdown in the rest of the year, nor does the unemployment forecast see any significant weakening of the labor market. And your inflation forecasts basically average out to no change. So if at the end of the year there is no change from conditions now, why would you anticipate cutting rates, what would be the point for a rate cut?
Well, we think policy is restrictive, and we think ultimately that if you just set policy at a restrictive level, eventually you will see real weakening in the economy. So that's always been the thought, is that, you know, since we raised rates this far, we've always been pointing to cuts at a certain point, not to eliminate the possibility of hikes, but, you know, no one has that as their base case. So no one on the committee does. But so that's, you know, that's how we think about it, and that's what we've been getting. That's what we've been getting, is good progress on inflation with growth at a good level, and with a strong labor market. Now, ultimately, we think rates will have to come down to continue to support that, but so far they haven't had to, and you know that's why we're watching so carefully for signs of weakness. We don't really see that. We kind of see what we wanted to see, which was gradual cooling in demand, gradual rebalancing in the labor market, while we're continuing to make progress on inflation. So we're getting a good results here.
Well, to follow up, is there any kind of concern for the housing industry or financial stability banks in leaving rates where they are for too long at this point?
On housing, yeah, the housing situation is a complicated one, and you can see that's a place where rates are really having a significant effect. I mean, ultimately, the best thing we can do for the housing market is to bring inflation down, so that we can bring rates down, so that the housing market can continue to normalize. There will still be a national housing shortage, as there was before the pandemic. There will still be one, but the distortions that we see now with lock-ins and things like that, you know, low mortgages. In terms of banks, the banking system has been, you know, solid, strong, well capitalized, lending. You know, we've seen good performance by the banks. We had the turmoil early last year, but you know, banks have been focusing on bringing up their liquidity, bringing up their capital, and having risk management plans in place. So the banking system, you know, seems to be in good shape.
Thanks. Chris Rugaber at Associated Press. I was wondering, on inflation, if you can tell us a little more about where you see inflationary pressure in the economy. You mentioned labor markets coming into better balance, and inflation expectations appear to be well anchored. You're seeing, you know, anecdotal stories of the large chains like Walmart and Target are announcing price cuts. McDonald's announcing a $5 meal deal. So, you know, people may still be unhappy about prices at the grocery store, but it doesn't seem like there's a lot of inflationary pressure left in this economy. I wonder if you could tell us more about
So I think it's true that inflationary pressures have come down, but we're still getting high inflation readings. So, you know, and I think you can see it in various places. In some parts of non-housing services, you see elevated inflation still, and that's probably could be to do with wages. Goods prices have kind of fluctuated. There's been a surprising increase in import prices on goods, which is kind of hard to understand, and you know, we've taken some signal from that, but you know, and of course, housing services, you're continuing to see high readings there. To some extent, that's you know, catch up inflation from earlier pressures. But I mean, overall, you're right. Inflationary pressures have come down. As I mentioned, the labor market has come into better balance. Wages are still running, you know, I would say above a sustainable path, which would be that of trend inflation and trend productivity. You're still seeing wage increases moving above that. We haven't thought of wages as being the principal, you know, cause of inflation, but at the same time, getting back to 2% inflation is likely to require a return to a more sustainable level, which is somewhat below the current level of increases in the aggregate.
Hi, Chair Powell, Rachel Siegel from the Washington Post. Thanks for taking our questions. There's obviously a lot of focus on how many cuts could be expected this year, but can you give us a sense of what one cut by the end of the year would actually do to the economy? What you think would be a meaningful difference if there was a cut by the end of the year, or even two?
I think if you look back in 5 or 10 years and try to pull out the significance to the U.S. economy of 125 basis point rate cut, you'd have quite a job on your hands. So that's not how we look at it. You know, really the whole rate path matters. And I do continue to think that when we do start to loosen policy, that will show up in a significant loosening in financial market conditions, and the market will price in what it prices in. I have no way of saying, we're not at that stage, so I don't know what we'll be thinking about at that time. But it's a consequential decision for the economy, and you want to get it right. And fortunately, we have a strong economy, and we have the ability to approach this question carefully, and we will approach it carefully while we're very much keeping an eye on downside economic risks should they emerge.
We've been talking about this clear sense that it's just going to take longer to have the confidence that's needed for rate cuts. Is there something about what happened in the first couple of months of the year that you're seeing differently now with more time or hindsight? Do you still characterize it as expected bumpiness or something more lasting that is affecting your policy for the rest of the year?
We always want to avoid the tendency to dismiss the parts of inflation that we don't like and just make it go away. So, but we had a quarter where inflation was running higher, and yes, I could stand here and say it's stuff we shouldn't have taken signal from, but it is what it is. You have to, low inflation is low inflation high. So if you have a quarter where it's higher, we tried not to take signal from the first couple of months, but we got a third month and we said, okay, the signal we're taking is that we think it's going to take longer to get confidence that inflation is moving sustainably down 2%. That's what we said. I think that was the right thing to do. I still think that's the right thing to do. Now we have today's inflation reading, which is very different, very much more positive. We're going to have to see what the trend is, what's going to be the data going forward. We're looking for something that gives us confidence that inflation is moving sustainably down to 2%. And readings like today's, that's a step in the right direction. But one reading isn't. It's only one reading. You don't want to be too motivated by any single data point.
Hi, Chair Powell. Thank you for taking our questions. I'm Jolene Kent with CBS News. What's your message to Americans who are seeing encouraging economic data but don't feel good about this economy?
I think it has a definitive answer why people are not as happy about the economy as they might be, and we don't tell people how they should think or feel about the economy. That's not our job. People experience what they experience. All I can tell you is what the data show, which is we've got an economy that's growing at a solid pace.
Good.
We've got a very strong labor market with unemployment at 4%. It's been a long time since we've had a long stretch of time with unemployment at or below 4%. Very long time. We had a period of high inflation. The inflation has come down really significantly, and we're doing everything we can to bring that inflationary episode fully to a halt and fully restore price stability. We're confident that we'll get there. And in the meantime, it's going to be painful for people, but the ultimate pain would be a period of a long period of high inflation. It is people who, lower income people at the margins of the economy who experience the most pain from inflation. So, it's for those people, for all Americans, but particularly for those people that we're doing everything we can to bring inflation back down under control.
And just a quick follow-up here. You've indicated one interest rate cut sometime this year, and I know you don't have a crystal ball up there, but a lot of people are watching and see, borrowing money remains very expensive. For everybody who's out there waiting on a rate cut, about when can consumers expect some relief?
Well, precise date for you, but what we said is that we want to make sure that we're confident that inflation is actually moving back down to 2%. Look at loosening policy. So confidence that inflation will be at 2%, it just pays benefits to the whole economy, to all Americans for a long period of time. We had that period for a very long time. We very much want to get back to a place where people can not think about inflation. It's just not a concern in the everyday economic decisions that they make. We were there for a long time, and our goal is to get back to that place. And we've made good progress, and we're in the phase now of just sticking with it until we get it done.
Claire Jones, Financial Times. Just drawing on the change in the statement on there being modest further progress on inflation. Halfway through the year and after today's CPI release, what have you and the committee members found that has been particularly encouraging to you? And just in terms of the conservatism, how much of that is about stickiness in shelter inflation in particular? Thank you.
So encouraging has been that growth, the growth clearly that we had last year, particularly the second half of last year, and we continue to see still strong growth, solid growth this year. That's been very encouraging. If you go back a year, there was a real concern about, very much slowing growth and a recession. Many forecasters had that. And that's not what happened. Instead, the U.S. is anyway, and it's in sharp distinction with many other advanced economies around the world. So that's been encouraging. I would say that today's inflation report is encouraging, but it comes after several reports that were not so encouraging. You ask about your second question was really about shelter inflation. So I think if you go back a couple of years, we know that there were renters, and then there are people who own their houses, and we have OER, which is owner's equivalent rent. And so when market-based rents go up sharply, as they did at the beginning of when the economy reopened, they really went up sharply. Those play into rollover rents much more slowly for existing tenants than they do for new tenants. And so we found now that there are big lags. So there's sort of a bulge of high past increases in market rents that has to get worked off, and that may take several years. Nonetheless, as long as market rents are going up at relatively low levels, and they still are, this is just going to happen. It's just going to happen more slowly than we thought. We also do sort of this thing where we impute a rental value to own homes, and that's many countries around the world do that. Some do it differently than us. It's something that the price experts have regularly looked at.
So far, I haven't heard anything
It's not
that's
something
so
that we're the only country
great.
that does, and it's not something we're looking at changing.
Like,
or
let's
we're looking at
appease the
changing,
crowd.
Anytime soon.
I've won the last
But
4 out of 4 trades.
It's true.
A little
It's
bit.
one of the very hardest
Cut my
things
losses
in
down.
inflation
More than half.
and in prices is how to think about, the services that someone is getting by living in a home that they could rent, but they're actually living in it. And some countries choose to just ignore that, but that's not how we do inflation here. We do it the way we do it, and we're very transparent about it. And it's true that we're seeing delays in realizing what's happening economically, but we understand that. We understand that very well.
Edward Lawrence with Fox Business. Thank you for taking the question, Chair Powell. So I want to go back to jobs and the consumer. The last jobs report showed that over the past year, 634,000 more people took multiple jobs. That's up 8.2% since January
That's what I said.
2021. We've seen
People are working
prices
2
rise
jobs.
19%. So people are using their credit cards to pay for their lifestyle.
That's right.
What pressure points will signal to you that the slowing economy could maybe break companies in terms of hiring or break the consumer in terms of spending?
So, we monitor all the things you mentioned and more. We're seeing is basically spending was going up faster than disposable income during big parts of last year rather. And so what that you'd expect to see is people spending more on their credit cards. That has been happening. Credit card balances have been going up. Credit card defaults have been going up. They're not at high levels. Remember that after the pandemic, people were cooped up. They couldn't spend money. They couldn't go out to spend money. They could spend money from home, but households were in very, very strong, historically strong financial shape. They've now worked off a lot of that. So we're watching that carefully. And what do we see? That's what we see. We see the same data that everybody else sees, but you've still got household sector that's in pretty good shape. But nonetheless, it's not in the kind of shape it was in a year or two ago. And we're carefully watching that.
So how close then are we to that point where the consumer can't continue to spend as a spending or companies can't hire? So like that.
Consumer spending is still growing. It's not growing at the pace it was growing at a year or so ago, but it's still growing solidly. And by the way, other parts of the economy are picking up. Spending on equipment and intangibles has picked up quite a bit. In the wake of all the construction that we saw of new tech plants. So overall, the economy is exhibiting solid growth and, something around 2%, which is, a good pace of growth for the US economy. But you're right, though. We do see the same thing other people see, which is, increasing financial pressures on, more lower income people. The best thing we can do is to foster a very strong jobs economy, which we think we have done, ultimately to get inflation under control, because those people experience inflation, very directly, very painfully. And once we get inflation under control, rates can come down, which will also improve things.
Hi, Victoria Guida with Politico. You've mentioned the unexpected weakening in the labor market would bring rate cuts sooner. And I was just wondering, can you talk a little bit about what that would look like? Is it more of like a quicker pace of people losing jobs? Is it more the level of the unemployment rate if it were to start to go above 4.2 or something like that? How are you thinking about what you're looking
Too
for to see
high
the
for
job market
Apple.
unexpectedly weaken?
2020.
When I say unexpectedly, the first thing is more than kind of is in our forecast or in common forecasts. So something more than that. But we'll be looking at everything. The labor market, has the ability, has the tendency sometimes to move, to weaken quickly. So waiting for that to happen is not what we're doing. We're watching very carefully. We're looking at the balance of risks. I always point out the balance of risks. So, and also the fact that we look at all of the whole situation. So, a decision to begin to, loosen policy could have several reasons associated with it at a given time. But I would just tell we monitor all the labor market data, and if we saw troubling weakening more than expected, then that would be something we'd consider responding to. But we look at the broader context of what's going on too.
Something like negative payroll numbers would be.
I'm not going to. I can think of things that would many things would make it on that list, but I don't think I'll utter them here.
Thank you, Chair Powell. Simon Rabinovich with The Economist. May I ask, you mentioned with the slightly higher PC readings earlier this year that it wasn't 1 or 2 months, but 3 months that tipped you to be a bit more cautious in the rate outlook. Should we take from that it looks like May will be quite good for PC as it was for CPI? Does that imply that kind of 2 more good months would reinstill the confidence that rate cuts could be coming sooner than you currently project?
I don't actually have that kind of mechanical thing in my thinking. I get that, as many good ones as we had bad ones, but no, it's not like that. It's the whole. It's going to be the totality of the data.
Totality.
The labor market data, the growth data. In terms of inflation, you'd want to see real progress that builds your confidence that we are on a path down to 2%. And I don't want to try to give you
you'd be
specific
lying.
numbers of things because that points to dates, and I just don't think we're not at a point of being able to do that.
Thank you for doing this. I'm Kosuke Takami with Nikkei.
Whatever he
I
said.
would like to know about the impact of stronger dollar on U.S. economic growth and prices. And I have no doubt that markets should determine the exchange rate.
Look at these spies.
Japan and some emerging markets are suffering from the strong dollar. So I want to know if it is having a positive impact on U.S. economy in total.
5 contract.
So we don't.
470.
Actually, it's our finance ministry, the Treasury Department, that has a responsibility
45.
for thinking
You
about
went 70 cents.
and if it sees fit, doing things about the level of the dollar. So for us, it's just another financial variable. And you're right, the dollar has been has exhibited some strength over the course
Apple
of the
and
last
Nvidia,
year or
very
so
green
because the U.S. economy is very strong. We don't think of it as benefiting or hurting the U.S. We don't manage the level of the dollar. That's not our job. It's not, and for our economy, what we're trying to foster is maximum employment and price stability. And we feel like we've made good progress on both of those goals over the course of the past year.
Thank you, Chair Powell. Jennifer Schonberger with Yahoo Finance. You said you would cut rates before inflation falls to 2%. you're forecasting inflation to end the year at 2.8% on core PCE. We're at 2.8% of
Well,
course
give
on
that
core
information.
PCE. Right now, you said the inflation forecast is conservative, and that if you got 2.6 to 2.7 on PCE, that would be a good place to be. You also indicated the job market has mostly normalized. So why not cut rates this summer just once? You're well above neutral, to try to preserve the soft landing rather than risking waiting too long in the quest for confidence for inflation.
You know, so we're well aware of the two-sided risks here. Let me just say, we understand that if we wait too long, that could come at the cost of economic activity, of employment, of the expansion. We understand that if we move too quickly, we could end up undoing a lot of the good that we've done and have to then start over, and it could be very disruptive. So we're extremely aware of both of those risks and just basically trying to manage them. And what we said is that we don't think it'll be appropriate to begin to loosen policy until we're more confident that inflation is moving down to 2% over time on a sustainable basis. That's kind of been our test. Or there's another test, which is, you know, an unexpected deterioration in labor market conditions. So I think that's the right way for us to think about it. That's our dual mandate there. And you know, we have a strong economy. We've got growth. All forecasts are very commonly around 2%.
I think we have strong
that's a strong
inflation.
growth rate for our economy. The labor market continues to print jobs at a pretty high rate. Unemployment's still low, so we have the ability now to approach this question carefully, and that's what we're doing.
But just to follow Chair Powell, do you need to be ahead of a weakening in the labor market? Otherwise, is it too late, given that the labor market is a lagging indicator, right, when you look at the monthly jobs data?
Yeah, we completely understand that that's the risk, and that's not our plan, is to wait for things to break and then try to fix them. We're trying to balance these two goals in a way that is consistent with our framework, and we think we're doing that.
Thank you, Chair Powell. Evan Reiser with Market News International. You have mentioned before the framework review process will start in the latter half of the year. At this point, do you have any specific time frame for the start of that? Who will lead it? Will it be you or a member, a committee group of your peers?
Told you we'd have a new high day today.
Be the parameters? Do you anticipate
Said it earlier.
you will consider changes to communications
5:43.96.
going forward?
New high day coming right now.
What we've been thinking is that we would announce and commence the review later or late in the year. In the meantime, as that time approaches, we will be devoting a lot of careful thought and planning to the contours of it. Within scope would certainly be communications generally. I'm not going to say that we'll look at this or that particular thing and all the other details. We don't want to get prematurely into a conversation until it's really time to have it. And so, I'm going to leave pretty much everything else to later in the year.
Hi, Chair Powell, Nancy Marshall-Genzer with Marketplace. Just one more question on housing. Can you still
What
cut
happened?
rates with shelter prices high,
580.
or will you wait until they start to moderate a bit?
I wouldn't. There isn't any one variable like housing prices moderating that would really decide or
There you
decide
go.
against what we're doing.
That was a
We've
good
got an
one.
overall
Delayed to get in. I went to
test,
cancel
which
it and I got in.
Greater confidence that
Got out too quick.
inflation is moving down to 2% on a sustainable
What he
basis.
says.
That's
Yes.
our overall test. Or
All right.
alternatively, we see
Oh.
unexpected weakening in
I went to
labor
cancel it.
market. So those are two.
It didn't go
different
in.
tests,
I
would
didn't
say.
see it.
You know,
Nowhere.
We're
I
not
went in
looking
just
at
as I
any
canceled.
one price in any one sector and saying that's the one.
Got in at
Or housing
580 and
prices,
now
for
it's
example.
620 and it went to 640.
And we target wages. We target aggregate prices and overall. So
That was nice.
But if housing prices
Mm.
remain sticky, could that slow
650.
down?
Oh my
the
God, it
pace
would've
of
been
rate
even.
cuts?
I think you'd look at the
Look
looking
at
the
this. I told you,
aggregate numbers
I said earlier, new higher day will come on the SPY 3 hours ago, and I was correct.
Of course, if
I was
any price
correct.
that contributed to ongoing inflation would matter. Any
And it's
price
an
that
odd number.
contributed to
So we're gonna
ongoing
go for
disinflation
5.
would
There it
matter
is.
too. but I wouldn't say allowed housing as having a special role there.
Bingo. That was a call.
Thank you very much.
I called it. Good. We're done. Jeez. The overall, SPY went high. On the overall, the SPY went high and brought me back down to minimal losses. Should have been my gains, but excuse me. Oh, look at that. Pull back right there. Wow. All I can tell you is Thinkorswim was so delayed. I hit the button and nothing happened for 30, 35 seconds. I said, I don't even see it. It usually puts an X so I can cancel it. It wasn't even on the board. So I actually went to cancel, and as I hit cancel all, it bought me in. And when it bought me in, it was already up 40 cents. So I said, getting out, and it went up to another 30, which would have brought me even for the day, but that's okay. I was down quite a bit today. Had a bad morning, down, let's see, I am out, right? Yeah, fine. I was down 1,300. I'm down 300. So, woo, look at that. Woo, everything's coming right back down again. Could have done one more put in there. Woo. I should have. When it hit that higher day, that's when you do it. When you see that new higher day and it hit twice, that's when you do a put. You just hold tight and wait. Now, where are we? See, right there. And we're going to move this one up. NVIDIA. Go to 125. Let's go to 125. I think it's higher. Yeah. 25.20. That's good. 25.20. Doesn't really leave much. It looks 126.20. Oh, so that's perfect. That's right. Okay, that's good. It's $1. Yeah, look at the pullback. Could have made some serious cha-ching. That just ran the contract from $2 to $6 on an SPX contract. $6. That is amazing. $6. Man, that could have put me so far into next year. Look at that, still dropping. $9 now. $9. That's $7. That thing just ran in 3 minutes. $7. That would have been $3,500. That would have ended my day perfectly. Oh, it's still dropping. Look at this thing. I don't trust it. Let's go to 430. 430. $54.30. I don't trust it. Not anymore. But we could still drop lower. There it goes. There it goes. Just ran $2 on the contract that I didn't trust. Still dropping. I got killed. Had it, I couldn't get out. All right. 9:10. Okay. That was scary as all heck. That's all I'm going to tell you. But I got in just now at 9:10. It dropped to 6. I said, that's it. I'm done. I've had it. And I just got out at 9:70, which broke me 0-0 for the day. I broke even. Wow. I took my entire loss for the day and got out. Oh my God, it's 11. 11. I can't believe it. I can't believe this. Look at it. It's still going. It's still going. Oh my God. Look at this thing. I cannot believe 13. Look at the drop. Oh my God. I got out too early. I didn't want to lose. Look at this thing. Oh my gosh. I just got out at 9:70 and it's at 13.80. That's $4. That would have been $2,000. Can you believe this? What a freaking day. But I broke even. I walked out -0. That is unbelievable. But it went $4. Look at it. Look, it just came back 3 of it, $2. Oh, we're back. Look at this. I gotta jump in again. Oh my gosh, look at this. What am I doing? I'm playing gambling games here, is what I'm doing. But I got 0-0 on the board. 0-0. Unreal. I'm so glad just to be back to a normal day. And I only had, the most I had today was 200, and I lost 1,300, and I'm back to 0. Exactly 0. Look at this thing. Oh my God, it's still going. It's like they're waiting for me to do something stupid. 1090, 1090. If I jump in right here, 1090, where do I go? Ready? 1090. There you go, 1140. I could have got in. Oh, it's gonna go. It's gonna go. It's gonna drop. $12. 1190, 1160, 1240. Should have jumped. Should have jumped. Just know they're watching me. You can lose so much so quick and you can gain. Look at it. Back to 13, 14. Jeez. Hickory dickory dock. Look at this thing go. The other contract went to 25 cents. Holy moly. That's no good. Let's put that one to, what do you call? Call $8. There you go. At least we got something on it. Go back up. And 30. Oh, freaking real. Hmm. I'm taking it right now. I'm done. Oh, am I done? $925 profit from $1,300 in a loss. Wow. I took the shot. I got in. Make sure it's all gone. 3 and 2 is 5. 3 and 2 is 5. I got in at 14. I just got out at 16.10. How could that be less than 1,000? Oh, 1,050. There it is. 1,050. Beautiful day. I turned a negative into a positive. Oh, you got to be happy today. There you go. 345, 345. I'm out with 1,050. There you go, folks. I'm not afraid to pull that thing. I will show you all because I'm always transparent, not like some people. But I'm not mentioning any names. Let's see. Hold on. Take a screenshot. Unbelievable. Save. I'm done. I'm done. I got to be done. I got to be stupid to go any further. I got to be really stupid if I go any further. I did it. I took the shot. I gambled a little. Let's see. Desktop. Where is it? Holy cow. Where is it? No, I saved some today. All right. Let's try date. Date. 5/22. Desktop. Desktop. Trade. Maybe I didn't. Save 6/12. Let's just call that 44. 44, lucky number. Save. There you go. Wow. $1,050 for the day. In minutes. In seconds. Oh my gosh. Okay. I don't know how many contracts I did today. I don't know. Usually I tell you how many. I gotta go count them up. Let's see. Desktop. Let's see the other way. Come on, come on. Where is it? Desktop. I know I just saved it. That is so weird. There it is. Trade activity. Okay. Should be the one. Let me see if this is the last one. Yep, 1610. Okay, profit today. 1,300. What did I say? $1,050. Let me go take a quick count. I can see how many contracts I did today. Counting every time I did 2. So I've got, let's say, let's get rid of all this stuff here. Get rid of that. Let me get rid of all this. All right, let's see. Oh, still in there. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11. I don't know how many I won yet. I'll have to go take back a look at that. So 11 trades. 11 trades. Yes. Let me see if I can take a quick look and see how many I won. I'm just going to put it out there. Profit 1,050, 11 trades. There it is. You can count it. So the first one to the day I won. The second one I lost. The third one I lost. The fourth one I won. So I won the first. Hold on. I won the first. I won the second. That one I lost 520, 620. It was 570. I won that one. So that's 2 wins because it was 2 trades. 570 to 6. I won. That's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I won 9 out of 11. That's not bad. But the 2 I lost, I lost big. Okay. So that's 1. I won 9 out of 11 trades. Cost averaging is another trade. So if I cost up, that's why there's an extra trade in there. So cost average is another trade. Once 9 out of 11. Is that correct? Holy crap. I thought I lost 1 in it. I won 1. Let's see how many I lost. I lost 1. I lost 2. I lost 2. That's it. I won 9 out of 11. I was correct. Wow. But the two I lost really were big. They were huge because I cost average on one of them and I lost both. And that's why I always tell you, be very careful. So that is excellent. And that makes up for yesterday. So yesterday I lost about $800, I believe, something like that. So, wow. I just ended my day beautifully. I took a couple of chances there. Could have made a lot more too. That way that thing was moving. You all hear me? Does everybody hear me? Just want to make sure you can hear me. You see me, you feel me. That was a beautiful thing. From 1,300 down to 500, down to 300, down to 0. I cut even and I won $1,000. I love it. Where else can you do something like this, folks? If you're not afraid to pull that trigger and you can time it, and that's what I did. I started timing it the best I could. Before, when I was losing, I was chasing. When you chase, you're going to lose every time. Wow, and look how it all stopped. Look, gave me enough time to do what I have to do. And I made all my money after 3 o'clock today. That's another thing. I made all my money after 3. Wow, I am so happy. Wait till I tell Dak I told him I don't want to talk about it. Okay. All right, this was a beautiful day. Oh man, I'm excited. I can't believe it. I don't care about the amount of money. It's not that that's got me, jumping for joy. It's the fact that I turned $1,300 loss into $1,000 win, and I do it all the time. That's nice. Okay, let's see. I need to. All right. Let me go into Dex room for a second. Come on, open up. Profit 1150 today. $14. Get in there. Now another one. National flash emergency. Flash flooding. Uh-oh. We're in trouble. We're flooded. All right. Wow. Not a word from my friends here in here. That's why I love you guys. But you never have nothing to say to me. Unbelievable. Who's still in here? Jimmy! Jimmy! Nothing to say, huh? Jimmy, you see what I just did? Miraculously? You told me to get active, and I did. I got active. Oh, my God. Flood warning is in effect in this area. Uh-oh, I'm drowning. I'm on the 7th floor in a condominium, and I'm drowning. Apple, look at the pullback on that Apple. Tomorrow, you're going to see Apple go back up again. So we're going to see some new highs on Apple. I knew it would be over 14. Let's see, what do we got here? 340. I am done. I got to leave this shit alone now. I got to leave it alone. Oh, my gosh. So happy. Something else. One. That's right. I won 40 cents. I won 40 cents 4 times. Let's see. 20 to 60 is 40. times 5. I was up 200 this morning. I lost that. The next one, you can see, what the heck did I do then? 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh my God, I went in 3 trades there. I took 2, 2. What the heck did I do? Did I ever get rid of it? I bought, oh, it's in green. That's right. So I bought at 7:30, the next one, and I lost $1.50, which means I lost about $750 on that one. And then the next one, I lost another $1.50. I was down 1,500. I was down $1.20 and $1.50 is 270. So 270 is half of that. 270. 13.5 I was down. That's what I was down. 13.5. And then I started going up after what time? 12:45. I got 30 cents back. And then I got 20 cents back. I had to double down. And then I got 30 cents. And then I got 30 cents. And then I got 40 cents. And I got 60 cents. And then I got $2.10. Yeah. What a rise. I feel much better. It's nice to end your day like this. Anyway, I want to thank you all. I'm going to close off my top computer. I am done. I am done. Wow. Thank you. Thank you, SPY. SPX. I got a call.